Hey everyone, Mitch coming in with the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through the most expensive cards so far from Wilds of Eldraine. Now this set spoiler season is finally done, but that does not mean that we are done with the set yet because, well, the set actually gets released here in September 8th, I believe is the date, and now we get to see kind of what cards are making moves in the market, what ones might have a massive impact on certain formats, including, of course, Commander. So we're going to be talking about the cards that are, well, apparently the splashiest in the set and that players are already demanding so much. So let's jump into it. And I'm going to give you a bonus card. It's going to do the top 10. I'm going to give you a quick bonus card because I really want to point this one out as well. Virtue of Persistence. The Virtues are making a huge splash, and we very well might see some other ones on this list. Regardless, this one's a really cool one. Enchantment for 5 black. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it's got an adventure, Locked Scorn. For 1 and black, a sorcery. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. This one is currently $8.86. So, well outside of my budget parameters, but might be within yours. Regardless, this card is incredibly reminiscent to, I believe, Debtor's Knell is the card. That was a kind of split cost card in Orzhov. But basically just had the exact same thing. You know, you can go get a creature on an upkeep, you know, out of a graveyard and get it into play. This one has more flexibility. First up, this is in black, so you have access to it in more decks out there. You don't have to have Orzhov in your decks to actually get this in there. On top of that, this has more flexibility as well, and that is a removal spell as well with that adventure side of it. That's going to take out a medium to small size creature, gain you some life as well, so that's just an extra benefit there. Now keep in mind, even if it doesn't take out a medium sized creature, it could help, you know, in a combat effect as well. Like, I mean, I guess it's a sorcery speed, I should say, but still after combat, you know, you're swinging, you're attacking someone, they block, they're like, okay, cool, my bigger creature took out your creature. You can usually take it out with one of these kind of effects, with these dead weight type effects as well, to take it out and set yourself up to then get that creature later when you get this in play. So yeah, this is a crazy good effect, one that can be a game-ending card and one that can help you earlier as removal too. So again, there is your bonus card right there. But let's move on to number 10, the 10th most expensive card, Agatha of the Vile Cauldron. Currently $9.14, a 1/1 human warlock for red-green, so very low to the ground. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost X less to activate, where X is Agatha's power. Spec can't reduce the cost of mana less than 1 mana. Pay 4, red, green. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and haste till end of turn. So that, of course, is an effect that you could just reduce the cost because it says activated creatures you control, not other creatures you control. So essentially, you can reduce that cost down to just red-green, which would be really good. Again, pumping your creatures essentially and giving them all trample for just 2 mana. Lovely. On top of that, of course, just having kind of like activated ability tribal where you can reduce the cost down to essentially just a single mana for many of your creatures for their ability can be huge. I mean, just think about this plus Ant Queen. That's just, hey, pay a single mana to make a creature, which of course then you can pump with this commander as well. There's a lot of creatures out there this can heavily benefit you for, just reducing that cost a ton, doing some disgusting things. And of course, with this, you know, that pump effect, you can just actually get this commander to a higher power very, very easily. Again, on equipment like Blackblade or Forge, that can work great. Any kind of counter strategy as well can work as well. There's a lot of ways to pump this commander to get that reduction down to, again, essentially, not nothing, I guess, but 1 for all of your activated abilities of creatures. And you do some really, really crazy things with this one. So yeah, this one I can see being very popular as a commander and also popular in the 99 of certain decks out there that have creatures activated abilities. So I'm not surprised to see this mythic be at, you know, at $9 right now. Next up, at 8th place, at 9th place, there we go, Virtue of Loyalty. We've got a $9.57 card, a 3 white enchantment for 5 mana in total. At the beginning of your upkeep, beginning of your end step, put a counter on each creature you control and tap those creatures. And then the instant adventure is at Arvindale Fealty for 1 and a white, create 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. So this one, again, that adventure flexibility is massive. That is absolutely huge. That is just saying, you know what, I know I am an absolutely massive card when I am in play, but hey, earlier on in the game, here's some extra flexibility again. Would you ever really put in a card in a deck that's just like, hey, 2 mana, make a 2/2 with vigilance? For most decks, probably not. But again, just having an extra, you know, stapled onto an already amazing card ability like that, that can set yourself up for a win, that is fantastic. So again, 2 mana instant speed, use as a blocker if you need to, or again, just get it out into play and essentially say, yeah, I've got an attacker and a blocker ready. And then, of course, that is a huge effect. Again, untapping your creatures, getting counters on them. Of course, this works great with counter synergies, helps get your team even bigger. It's kind of like pseudo-vigilance in a way, where it's like, okay, I can swing out and sell my team back and ready to block as well. But more importantly, activated abilities of creatures that require them to tap, you can tap them again, because you can, tap them and then at your end step, untap them. Kind of like a mini Seedborn Muse-ish, like Wilderness Reclamation, but just for creatures essentially. And again, that also has the flexibility of that earlier spell, as well as getting counters on. So yeah, this card can be massive in certain strategies. Again, counter strategies, activated ability strategies, so on and so forth. Speaking of activated abilities, moving on. Next, we got Rowan, $9.84. Rowan, Sign of War, 4/2. Human Wizard with Menace that costs 1 black and a red. Tap. Spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, for X is the amount of life you lost this turn activating sorcery. Gross. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy powerful commander, and one that sure can definitely see playing the 99 of certain decks out there, but as a commander, you can very easily set yourself up to, well, have your spells cost essentially nothing. Probably 1, but still, essentially nothing. This is a commander where you can set yourself up in a way where you have those creatures out there that, hey, maybe have that ability, like, hey, pay 1 life, get ++1, like a blood essentially, right? Those kinds of creatures where you can just pinpoint life total, change whatever you want to get down to. So essentially with this, you're like, okay, cool, I want my spells to cost, say, 20 less this turn. Wall of Blood, pay 20 life, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you've got a commander that can tap and make your black and red spells cost 20 less to cast. Also, on top of that, keep in mind, though you don't have many typical untap effects in these colors, you do have threaten effects, and many of those threaten effects allow you to just target your own creatures as well. So again, with threaten, you just pay a single red mana, target this commander, untap it, tap it again. So now it's all of a sudden 20 more. So again, 40 for that X. Any kind of fireball spells like Jaya's Immolating Inferno, that's just, hey, take out all your opponents at once. Those kinds of spells, like Sanguinate as well. You can do a lot of crazy things with this. And again, this is a commander that can very easily win you the game in absolutely no time. And of course, kind of like with Sanguinate, plenty of cards in black as well that can help you gain that life back that you're going to be losing. So yeah, this is a crazy good commander, one that I'm not surprised to go with a mythic version of it being, this expensive right now. Moving on, let's go into Irieti, I can never get that name right, of the Charmed Apple, a 2/4 human warlock and Orzhov for 1 white and a black. Each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. On top of that, begin your end step. Each opponent loses X life and you gain X life for X the number of auras you control. This one's coming in at $10.42. And yeah, I can definitely see this commander being very, very popular. It's kind of like a pacifism commander. It's like everything is pacifism. Essentially, all your auras are pacifism again, except for it's not, I guess, pacifism in that those creatures, yes, can still block and they can still attack, just not attack you. So it's kind of like ghostly prisonish, or just attack at someone else, kind of like a goad in a way, I guess, but with auras. So being able to say, yeah, let's just utilize any kind of auras. Again, any aura that we can utilize. Again, low to the ground ones, token ones, essentially. Whatever you want to utilize, ones that maybe you get value from for just casting them, maybe for them coming to play, maybe for sacrificing them, and saying, yeah, you all just attack each other while I sit over here and drain you all out. Again, because at your end step, you're going to drain your opponents based on the number of auras you control. This can get out of control in absolutely no time. Yeah, it's a pretty, very, 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 very powerful effect. And again, let's say your opponent's Wrath and take out the board. Cool. You've got ways to get those auras back into play. Just, return all enchantments back from your graveyard to play. Attach those auras back on your opponent's creatures. They can't attack you anymore. Again, keep draining your opponents. Ways to take advantage of the life gain, the life loss as well. Yeah, this is a commander that, again, sees potential as in the 99 of, aura-specific decks, but also just as a commander is crazy good, crazy fun, and again, a different direction for commanders that really haven't seen so far when it comes to just like aura-specific commanders. So a very exciting one indeed. Next up, all these virtues. A lot of these virtues are seeing a ton of demand right now. $10.47 for Virtue of Knowledge. Not surprising with what this one does. Enchantment for 4 and a white. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time. So basically, Panharmonicon Plus. The original Panharmonicon, I believe, just was artifacts and creatures. This says any permanents. Let's double up that value. So it's kind of like a Yarok, but on enchantment. But also, hey, Vantress Visions for 1 in a blue. Again, instant adventure. These virtues have that adventure side, which is huge. Copy, target, activate, triggered ability control. Choose 2 targets for the copy. That is massive. This can help out in a lot of scenarios and just give you extra value. There's plenty of commanders out there that have activated or triggered abilities. You're just paying 2 mana instant speed to get an extra, ability essentially out of that is huge. And yes, again, so that doubles up that, and also just being a 5 mana enchantment that doubles up your ETBs, that's already massive. So again, Blink decks, any kind of ETB specific decks are going to absolutely love this. A huge card. Not surprising again that this mythic is $10 already. Then we've got Virtue of Strength jumping up to $12.52. Again, yet another Virtue all the way up here. Not surprising with this one, especially enchantment for 5 green. If you tap a basic land for mana, produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. We all knew it was coming. I mean, Wizards kept doing these, tripling effects. They did have a tripling effect already as well with Nyxbloom Ancient that kind of did this. We'll talk about the differences here in a little bit. But still, hey, yeah, green, what do you love? Mana! Cool, triple that. Gross. And then we've got Guaranteed Growth for a single green mana sorcery adventure. Return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So that is just a nice additional benefit. Again, earlier on in the game, you can say, okay, cool, maybe I cracked an Evolving Wilds or, I fetch land or whatnot, get that back. Be my land drop again, or if someone dealt with a creature, cool, I can get that back out of my graveyard. But yeah, the big thing about this, obviously, is once you do get to that 7 mana, if you've got plenty of basics in your deck, which again, all of mine as a budget player, I've got a ton of basics in basically every single one of my decks out there. Yeah, this can make a massive impact. I'll never be able to use this card because it's never going to be under $1, but still, being able to really benefit players that utilize a lot of basics and say, hey, yeah, are you in a mono green deck, 2-color deck for most players out there that might not utilize basics as heavily, mono green, 2-color, maybe even 3-color, you have enough basics to justify utilizing a card like this. Even my 5-color decks have a lot of basics in there though, but yeah, you might be the same way. Being able to say, all of a sudden my basics tap for 3 times as much. Again, if you've got 7 lands in a play, all of a sudden you triple your mana if they're all basics, and you're at 21 mana. You drop a land next turn, you're at 24 mana. Absurd game-winning card right here. Yeah, Nyxbloom Ancient, again, an amazing card, but one that is much more easily removable. Again, it is an enchantment creature, so there's 2 avenues to take it out, including just a simple Wrath like a Wrath of God. Wrath of God does nothing to this, so this can just survive most board wipes out there, and yeah, your opponents are going to need some target removal to take this out most times, and they better take it out, because if not, you're going to run away with the game. Next up, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, coming in at $15.82, a legendary artifact for 2 mana. You may spend mana as lower mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Creature control +1/+1, counters on them have all activabilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Tap, exile target card from a graveyard. When a creature card exiled this way, put a counter on target creature you control. Okay, there's a lot going on here, but this is an incredibly spicy card. One of the most spiciest ones from this entire set. $15.82. This is a card that can go combo. It can go +1 counter build. It can go, hey, I just want my creatures to have mana dork abilities, essentially. Yeah, there's a lot that you can do with this. And again, it's not a very restrictive card. You might think that this card's like very specific for very specific decks out there because of what it does, but the way that it works, again, you essentially can spend mana of any colored activate abilities. So if you're gaining your opponent's creatures' abilities or whatnot, essentially you can just utilize those still because you're not limited based on your colors. All your creatures with counters on them have active abilities of all creature cards exile with this. So again, you get a single counter on any creature. It has all the active abilities of all creature cards exile with this, which is crazy. So you're just adding to that. And on top of that, this can exile a card from any graveyard. Again, not just your own. You're not dependent on your own activated abilities from graveyard. You can be dependent on your opponents as well. So again, if simply just one of them has a mana dork, all of a sudden you get rid of that mana dork, even just a Land of Werewolves or whatever taps for a single green mana. Cool. Now all of a sudden, any creatures that you get counters on now can just tap for a green mana. Again, that can just be a massive, massive effect where it's kind of like Cryptolith Rite basically in a way, and then also just works with counter builds as well, works with infinite combo, works with just, again, ways to just really take advantage of any kind of active abilities from creatures. This is a crazy card, one that, again, is a mythic, very mythic effect, and yeah, can see play in legendary decks, again, counters decks, active ability decks, combo decks, a lot of potential with this one here. When it comes to potential, though, Moon Shaker Cavalry. Yeah, this is going to shake things up. $18.80, basically a new Crater Hoof Behemoth. 6/6 Spirit Knight with flying that costs 8 mana in total, 5 green. Enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain flying, get +X/+X on turn, X number of creatures you control. Again, basically White's Crater Hoof Behemoth. ETB, just pump everything a ton and get most of them through again with that flying. So again, any kind of a go wide strategy is going to say, okay, cool. All of a sudden, +8/+8 to my team. Great, swing away. You're probably all taken out. I'm able to take all of you out. And if not, again, you're in white. You've got ways to blink this. You've got those cloud shift type effects, ephemerate type effects. Plenty of ways to say, oh, you know what? That's not going to be enough. Okay. I'll blink it, get that ETB again. Another +8/+8. Yeah, your opponents aren't going to survive when you've got 7 creatures in play. They're going to be able to swing at them with +16/+16, and flying. This is a crazy good card in creature-based strategies. Again, blink strategies, go wide strategies, token strategies. This is going to be a huge effect, again, like Critical Behemoth, that's just going to make a massive impact and going to be a game ender for creature-based strategies and just go wide strategies. So, yeah, a crazy good card. Not surprised to see this card, again, already nearly $20. Moving on. Ashyak is $20. The new Ashyak, Wicked Manipulator, 5-star loyalty Ashyak for 3 black. If you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it and exile that many cards from the library instead, +1, look at the top 2 cards of your library, exile one of them, put the other in your hand, -2, create 2 1/1 black Nightmare creature tokens. Beginning of combat on your turn, if cards been exiled this turn, get a counter on this creature, -7. Target player exiles the top X cards of their library, where X is the total mana value of cards you own in exile. So this can be on a couple of different ways. First of all, it is good card advantage there. It is a good way to replace, life loss essentially for certain decks out there. This is also a way to say you can go wide pretty quickly, pretty easily again, making, a lot of those vampire nightmare creature tokens that can get quite big quite quickly again with other cards in combination. And of course, a way to potentially even be a finisher for your opponents as well, taking out their entire library potentially in some ways again, because it counts the total mana value. So if you've got a high mana value deck, cool, all of a sudden, yeah, let's just mill you out. Cool. A very interesting Planeswalker, one that of course can be considered for Super Friends decks. Of course, in other formats can make even more of a splash as well. Finally though, the most expensive card in Wilds of Eldraine so far is Beseech the Mirror, and this one is really not surprising. Currently nearly $30. A source for 1 black. Bargain. Bargain means you can sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast the spell. Search your library for a card, exile face down, then shuffle. The spell is Bargain. You may cast exile card without paying its mana value if the spell's mana value is 4 or less. The exile card in your hand if it wasn't cast this way. This one is a new kind of tutor. It's basically like Diabolic Tutor, but just, its cost is just slightly different, right? Its cost is just slightly more restrictive. 1 more black pip instead of, the 2 generic costs. So this one's just basically the exact same amount. Again, 4 mana, go tutor. If you're not bargaining, it's the exact same thing. You basically just go tutor for a card, get in your hand. So at the very least, it's as good as Diabolic Tutor, just with a slightly more restrictive casting cost, right? And Diabolic Tutor seems so much play. That being said, this has the potential to be even better than Demonic Tutor, which is one of the most played cards in Commander. It's a crazy good card, basically a 2 mana tutor. This one, yes, costs 4. You sacrifice something that maybe you don't care about. Again, artifact, enchantment, or token. So again, a tiny creature token or just a treasure token or whatever you're sacrificing. Cool, sacrifice that. All of a sudden, you get to potentially cast that card for free. Again, if you search for something, mana value 4 or less, you cast it right away. Again, versus Demonic Tutor, you technically get the same amount of value if that spell costs 2 or less mana. This time though, if you get something go cost 4, you're getting 4 value, 4 mana value out of that for free, which is crazy good. This can go really well with combo strategies. Basically, just any kind of a deck that wants a tutor though can really consider this, especially ones that might have artifacts or enchantments they actually want to sacrifice, or just tokens that might be around as well. So yeah, a very, very good card. Again, Diabolic Tutor sees so much play already, and it's just basically, this is just basically that plus the potential to be so much better as well. So yeah, just a crazy good card. Nearly $30 right now. Don't know if that price is going to go down at all by the time spoiler season comes around. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on all of these. I'm going to have a link to them in the description below, so make sure you check that out in case you're interested in any of them. Do you think some of these are overpriced? Do you think some are underpriced right now? Do you think the price is going to go up on some of these? Let me know what you're really excited about from this set. So yeah, in the comments below, let me know that. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.